Hi there. This is lesson 6. I'm sorry that this is a little bit late. I have been sick and I also haven't been where I had a reliable internet connection. So let's go ahead and go over lesson 6. I'm starting on the first page of lesson 6 and we're going to be talking about formatting dates. So here's the file that's open and you can see lesson 6, and we want to come down here to where it says expire date and click on and change to expire date. Now what they want us to do is key a manufacturer's date in A4. So they just want us to type in 01 /01/10 and hit the enter key. Now you'll notice that it changes format right away. It has no leading zeros. It has 4 digits for the ending date, and so that's kind of the way that it's currently formatted. We've talked about this a little bit more before in class. Let's try another one. 15/Jan and 10. Okay, again, it just moves right back to the default format. And then they have us try January 29th, 2010, and you'll notice that again it switches it over. Where it doesn't switch it over is if you try this, where you put in a date kind of backwards. It actually, that one will work, but then this is the one that doesn't work. 10/02/26 because it thinks it's 2026. So that one's the one that doesn't work. Now what's cool about this is you'll notice that this is every 2 weeks, the way this is put in. So we can extend this very easily to work to go all the way down here. So what we could do is we could select this like this and use our fill handle to fill in the rest of the dates. So let's see, how far do we want to go down to? As I'm looking, I think I want to go down to, we're going to format it first. So let's just select these, and then we're going to go up into the formatting area. Now we have date, so you have just a really specific date. Remember we did short date and long date, but if we want it to be a little more specific, we can choose more number formats here, or you can also get to this spot by clicking on this button right here. So here I brought this up, it's date, and what we're going to choose, they want us to choose the long format date, I think. Let's see, and we're choosing the March 14th long one, like that. Okay, so that'll give us that long date, and we say okay. All right, so then we want to just fill handle it down to A19. So select these. Now you have to select them first because it's going in a pattern, so it'll have to recognize the pattern. So if you only choose one, it's not going to copy it correctly. You have to select them all, and then go down to the fill handle and come all the way down to A19, and that's going to fill in the dates all nicely. So it literally goes, oh, okay, you're doing every 2 weeks here, 1, 15, 29, so you're adding 14 days to each one. So then it recognizes that and takes that pattern all the way down. Now on page 230, you're going to look and see that we have custom date formatting that you can put in. So if you want to change the way the formatting looks and you didn't see one in that little area that you liked, you can change it to being really specific. So you'll notice that it gives you a little list of what it would be like if you want M for the month without a leading zero, MM for the leading zero, MMM for a 3-letter abbreviation, MMMM, 4 M's for the spelling out the month in full, and then 5 M's for the month as a single character. So you have lots of options here, and so they're just giving you a way that you can put in that date. So they're having us, let's see, click, select cells A4 through A19, which we have, and then let's right click in here and go to format cells. Again, another way of getting to the exact same spot that we've been in before. And so let's try doing something a little different. We're going to come down here and click custom at the bottom. And then in this area where it says type, we're going to select that. like that, and we're going to type in D and then hyphen MMM. Now you'll notice exactly how this is going to look. See this in the sample area? You could see how it's going to look, and you say OK, and it switches all that to looking like that. Let's try it again. So let's right click in here and do Format Cells, and this time let's try, so come in here, DD space MM, I think it's got 1, 2, 4, and then Y, and say OK. All right, so that's how that's going to look. But look up in the formula bar. Do you see how it's not changed in the formula bar? Just letting you know that the information is in the formula bar as a regular formatted date, the way we had it by default. All right. All right, so now I'm moving on to page 231. So we're working on keying in some format time. So let's move over to the Surgeries tab on the bottom. So we're on the Surgeries tab, and we're clicking in cell C6 for the start time, and we're going to put in 9 a.m. Okay, and then hit the Enter key. You'll notice that it moves to 9 o'clock, and then it has a.m. automatically. You notice that. Now in D6, let's move over to D6, and let's put in 10:30, like that. Notice that it automatically fixes it again. It assumes that it's 10:30 a.m. You don't even have to put that in. Now in C7, come over here to C7, let's put in 13:30, kind of going with military time. Notice that it does not add the PM in. You do not need a PM when you're dealing with a 24-hour clock. It's automatically assumed that it's PM because it's 13:30, so you don't really need to worry about that. Now in D7, let's put in 3:30 p.m. like that. And notice it'll change that one. And then in C8, let's try 2:45 p.m. And then in D6, put in 16:30. All right, just so we have some of this information in here. All right, so we have a few more. I'm going to just pause for a second here. I'll be right back. Okay, I had a coughing fit, but I should be back now. All right, so we're continuing on, and we're going to talk about using the today function. So let's move over to the Diagnosis tab at the bottom. And we're going to also hold down the Shift key and go all the way to expire date to select and group all of our sheets. How do we know that we're grouped? We can see that it says group up here at the top, and you'll also notice all three are kind of a lighter color, a little silvery, at least in mine. Yours might look a little different. Maybe yours are all white or something. So let's go on up to, we're going to click on cell A25. So I'm going to come all the way down to the bottom, kind of scooch down a little bit more, and click on cell A25. So this is going to be entered in on all 4 of these sheets. So this date is going to be in cell A25 on all 4 of these sheets. So we're going to go on up to the Formulas tab. And we're going to click on, in the function library group up at the top, we're going to click on the date and time button. So see the date and time. And this time we're going to come on down to where it says today. All right. So let's go ahead and say OK. And you'll notice that if you look up in the actual formula there, it says = today and then left parentheses and right parentheses. What it does is it puts in today's date, but it is a volatile thing, so that means the next time you open up your computer, it's going to put in today each time. So just be aware that it's putting in today's date each time. It's not going to just stay this way. So if you're putting in today, it's going to be today's date. All right, and then let's go ahead and go to the Home tab, all right, and we can format this date in a different way if we want. So we can format it as a serial number if we want. So come on up to where it says date and come on down to number. Remember we talked about this in class, how dates are actually serial numbers. We figured out that January 1, 1900 was day 1, and from then we've just been counting. So today, that I'm March 8th when I'm recording this, it's 41,341 days since that day. And so you will notice that that's what today's date is. We can go back and then formulate that in a different way if we want. Let's come on down to A26 just to kind of do something else where we're going to put in equal sign and then now and then left parentheses and then enter key. Now you'll notice what that does is put in the date and the time, so that gives us a little bit different perspective. Another thing that you can do though, why don't we look at it in general formatting, because that's date and time. You'll notice it's a little bit different when we move it to general because it's got 41,341.47. That's because it's 11:23 in the daytime here, and it's measuring the percentage of the day that's over. So you can see that that would change. And as I update, as I would come back in here and update it, maybe close it out and open it up again, that number will change because again, it's volatile and it takes the time and the computer clock. So what we can do though is then change this back to short date. You can also do more number formatting, and you can put in all kinds of different options here for time and date, something like that, so that you could see it. Now at this current time, that's giving me those numbers. That means that that is kind of not wide enough to be able to see everything, and so you may need to widen out that column just a little bit to be able to see it all. But notice that when we selected all of the worksheets, if you come down to A25, this is on all those worksheets because we were grouped there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on to page 234, because just so, as we've done previously, you can put time in by by putting in the customized way of doing it. So let's go to right click and format cells and come into the time. So let's say we click on time and we want to change the time format just like we did before. So we can click on custom and we can come up to the top here in this type and change this out to being let's say hour and then colon, minute, colon, and then we could say second, and then M or AM/PM, and then say OK. So you could see that it's giving you the seconds with no leading zeros, and then it's going to say AM or PM. So that's just how specific you can get for that, but that's just for time. It's saying now this is the time currently. If I close it down and open it back up again, it's going to give me a different time. If I come back in here and put time in again, you'll notice that here, when we change it, it will change this time here. Okay. Alrighty. So let's come on back to expire date over here. We're going to come up with some dates. Now, because our dates are serial numbers, we can calculate a certain number of days from now to find out what the date will be during that time. So we've ungrouped our sheets. If you haven't done that, click away and ungroup your sheets. We're going to select A4 through A19, and we're going to replace all occurrences of the year with last year. Okay, select and replace all occurrences of the year with last year. Okay, so this is 10. You know, it really doesn't matter. We could put in 2012 if you want. Let's go ahead and do that. Since we haven't done this in a while, let's go ahead and do find and replace. So we're going to right click. Do I want to do this? We could do it. Let's go ahead and do replace, and replace what? We're going to replace 10 with 12. Replace all. Alrighty, we're all good. So everything here should say 12. So now we're going to go ahead and figure out what is 24 months from that date. So what we're going to do is we're going to come on up here, we're going to hit the equal sign, that's going to start us out. We're going to take our date in A4, we're going to say plus, and then we're going to add in. Now the thing is here is that we're going to want to do 2 years, and that's 24 months, but the problem is it's 365 days, so we're going to do this 365, but is it really just 365 days? It's really not, because we have 0.25 days, because we have 1 extra day every 4 years for a leap year, and so we want to and remember that. So we're going to say 0.25 for a year times 2, so we're going to multiply by 2, so we're going to say times 2 parentheses, because we want that to happen first, and then we're going to add it to A4. Do we get that? So that's the way it should look by the time we're done. And then hit the enter key, and that's going to give us our serial date. So that's going to tell us what it is. Now, how do I know what it's going to be? I'm going to go ahead and format it by taking this like this, take my fill handle, drag to the right, and it's going to automatically format the way it is over here. So wait a minute, that's not right, is it? Because that's not what we want to happen. We want only the formatting to happen. So we're going to say fill the formatting only. That looks more like it. So 24 months from January 1st, 2012 is going to be December 31st, 2013. Okay, so then once we're finished with that, we can use the boyfriend, the fill handle, to come all the way down to B19, and it should fill everything in. Now, you might want to say, why is this 2013 if this is 12? If you really think about it, it literally is 24 months if we go according to that. So it wouldn't be exactly January 1st, 2014. So it should be relatively close, but that's adding in 365.25 days. All right, so go ahead and put that all in. Okay, so our next thing we're going to do is we're going to click on C4, and we're going to start out with our little formula. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in equal sign, and we're going to start with today, and then our left parentheses and our right parentheses, and then we're going to say minus, because that's going to take today's date, and then we're going to say minus, and then we're going to click on A4, and then we're going to hit the enter key. All right, so that tells us basically it's not really giving us a very good idea of what we want here, because we need to format that a little bit better. It's formatted as a date, and it's not going to really make sense. So we're going to have to change something here for a second. So click in cell C4, and we're going to go on up to the number formatting area, and we're going to change that to general. Okay, so that gives us 432 days currently, and so that tells us how many days it is old. Okay, so 432 days. Again, this information is volatile because today is always going to change, right? And that's kind of what we want, because every time we open this up, we'll see exactly how old our drugs are, okay? So let's go ahead and drag that going down so we could see how old each one of those drugs are. Alrighty. Okay, so now that we have the dates, we're actually going to want to go ahead and figure out, convert it into years. So we need to divide it by 365.25. So let's come on up to the formula bar, and we're going to divide by 365.25 to figure out exactly how many years this is. So I'll go ahead and hit enter. Again, it formats it as a date. That's not how we're going to want that. So we're going to come down to general. Oops. Do we want general? What do we want again? I'm sorry, we want number, Okay, so after we get to here, we'll notice that we have a date in there. Well, that's kind of a problem because that's not what we really want to happen. We want this to happen first. So we have to come on up and we're going to put in a parentheses with today and after A4 like that. All right, so we're going to have that happen and we're going to hit the enter key. And that should give us how many years or how old it is in years. So at this point, for today, from the time of manufacture, we know that it's 1.18 years. And now we're going to take that and drag it down to 119. So I hope that makes sense. We had to put these parentheses in here to make sure that that happened before we divided by 365.25. And the other thing that needed to happen was we needed to change this to number. Okay, so make sure that you got that right. If not, okay, so let's go ahead and do how time has passed and show fractions. So let's go ahead and click on the surgeries tab down here at the bottom. Now, and we're going to put in the equal sign, and we're going to click the cell D6, and we're going to subtract the C6, so minus, and then C6, and then go ahead and hit the enter key. Okay, so now this is a part of a 24-hour day. It's only basically 0.06. So that's not going to make much sense to us. So we're going to click in cell E6, and we are going to decrease the decimal button 2 times so that it's unrounded. So let's do the decrease decimal 2 times. Well, I'm sorry, increase decimal 2 times. I'm sorry, going the opposite way. This is what it should look like when you're all done. And unrounded. And then let's go ahead and click on the number formatting, and we're going to choose fraction. Now, if you can't see it in this list, and I can't, there it is, you got to come down a little bit and click on fraction. Now it's going to appear as 0 in the beginning. All right, so let's go ahead and click the dialog box launcher under number right here. So the same thing. Now you can always right click it. You can do, I showed you a bunch of different ways to do it. You can also do Control-1 to get here, either way. And in the number group, let's go ahead and click as 16ths and then say OK. So it's 1/16 of a day. Now let's go ahead and copy the formula down. Now we may not have put in all of the numbers that we should have put in here. So let's go ahead and do that. If you don't have all your numbers in here, don't worry, we're all about the same here. So let's go ahead and add this in. This is 10 a.m. and this was 12:30 p.m. and then, oops, and then 9 a.m. and this one was let's see, 11:30 and then 2 p.m. and then 10:45 a.m. Okay, let's get this all formatted the same way. So when we want them to be formatted, again, come up to the number, we're going to click on time, and then let's choose this so that they all look the same and say OK. All right, we're all set with that. So we should have probably 1/16 for all of these by the time they're done. All right, so we're all nice and copied. Now, what they want us to do is go ahead and delete the contents once we have, if you have anything in F16 through F11, let's make sure that's all clear. We're going to come on up to the top here and type in total time again. And then here we're going to put in equal sign E6 times 24, and that's going to give us a total time. Now it is put in as a fraction. We're going to fix that here in a second. Let's go ahead and go all the way down like that. So we're copying it. It's going to give us the number of hours in the day. We're going to not format it, but then we're going to make sure you're still selected. Come on up to the numbers group. And we're going to say as quarters. And then OK. All right, so that gives us time of day. All right, I'm going to stop here and then start up with the new section when we start doing if functions.